Spoilers ahead. Watch out, and take care. The movie begins with a teenager named Ponyboy Curtis, writing at his desk in his room. Ponyboy writes about leaving the movie theater, and as he is walking home, a group of guys in a red Corvair call him names. He ignores them and continues to jump and play with a ball, while reciting parts of the movie he just saw. The bullies won't leave him alone, and because of his greasy hair, they start calling him a greaser. He tries to avoid them, but the teenagers chase him. They are the Socials, a group of well-dressed teenagers, in varsity jackets and pants, also known as the affluent students or the South Side Sox. The Sox stop, rush out, and attack Ponyboy, knocking him to the ground as he resists. Ponyboy tries to free himself, but to no avail. As some guys hold him down, one of them lightly slips his knife across Ponyboy's neck, and wounds him. Ponyboy's older brothers, Daryl and Soda Pop, and the rest of their gang, Johnny Cade, Dallas Winston, Steve Randall, and 2-Bit Matthews rush to his help, chasing the Sox away. When Ponyboy reveals that he is returning from the movies, his older brother Daryl suggests that he find other hobbies, insinuating that he wastes time on useless things. Later, their friends return from their homes, and Ponyboy is called into the house to do homework. That night, Soda Pop consoles Ponyboy, and tells him not to take it out on Daryl. Their parents were killed in a car accident. Daryl, a recent high school graduate with a career, serves as a father figure. Soda Pop is a high school dropout who works at a gas station. As long as the three keep out of trouble, they can live together, and take care of each other. Daryl insists that Ponyboy attend and finish high school with decent grades. Ponyboy, on the other hand, is often distracted, getting into trouble, when he doesn't let his older brothers know where he is after dark. Daryl is fiercely protective of his two younger brothers, especially Ponyboy, because they are all still traumatized by the loss of their parents. The next morning, Ponyboy and a friend Johnny meet up with Dallas. The bored trio wander around town looking for trouble. They initially witness a fight, but as soon as the police arrive, they run away. Then they head to the cinema to watch a movie, but on the way they run into a group of children, who they scare and start chasing for fun. Later that evening, Dallas, Johnny and Ponyboy watch a movie at a drive-in theater, and sit in the bleachers. A girl named Cherry has a disagreement with her boyfriend, and leaves the car to sit on the bleachers with a friend. Dallas approaches her, but Cherry seems to bond more with Ponyboy and Johnny. Dallas says something rude, and Cherry, unconcerned about his tough guy attitude, orders him to shut up. When Dallas continues to get on her case, Johnny is the only one of the group who manages to stop him. Dallas walks away after being rebuffed. Then Ponyboy accompanies Cherry to the kiosk to buy popcorn. The two talk about their friends as they wait in line. Ponyboy believes that he and his friends are persecuted by the Sox, because they are poor, dress differently, and are often considered thugs. It turns out that Ponyboy and Cherry attend the same high school, but she has never noticed him, because he is kind of a loser. Nevertheless, Cherry thinks he is cute and polite, unlike his friend Dallas. After the movie, the group walks around chatting. At one point, Cherry's boyfriend, Bob, pulls up nearby in his car. He is inebriated and scolds her for talking to rival gang members. Cherry is furious, because Bob is drunk and she refuses to come with him in this state. But when it becomes clear that a bloody fight is about to break out, Cherry reluctantly agrees to go with Bob. Ponyboy accompanies his friend to his house, but as they drive past the house, they hear a furious argument between Johnny's parents. At this point, Johnny decides to sleep in a little place near his house, until his parents stop fighting. He bursts into tears and says he is tired of this life. Ponyboy approaches and comforts him, after which they fall asleep. They wake up after a while, and Ponyboy goes home, while Johnny says he will stay here. Arriving home, Daryl scolds Ponyboy for staying out late. When his brother tries to stop the argument, Daryl pushes Ponyboy, causing him to fall to the ground. Ponyboy flees the house, despite Daryl's attempts to apologize, and runs into Johnny again. Ponyboy, still upset, convinces Johnny to accompany him on a walk to the neighborhood park. Shortly after, the Sox run into Ponyboy and Johnny in the park, still furious about their attempt to pick up Cherry and her friend. Ponyboy and Johnny are teased for having long greasy hair. Ponyboy spits at the Sox and tries to escape, making it all the way to the fountain in the park. The Sox knock Johnny to the ground, and almost drown Ponyboy's head. To stop them, Johnny pulls out a switchblade, and makes the biggest mistake of his life. Everyone runs away when Bob is killed. A few minutes after killing, Johnny decides that he and Pony should look for Dallas, who could help them in their situation. They go to a house where Dallas is celebrating. Ponyboy reveals what Johnny has done, and Dallas takes them to a room upstairs. Dallas gives Johnny a gun and $50, and says that they must get out of this town, so that the dust settles. He instructs them to take a train to Windricksville, a small village where they can hide out in an abandoned church. Within a few days, the whole town learns of the killing, and the rival gang seeks them out for revenge. Johnny and Ponyboy listen to Dallas' advice, and board a freight train. Next, they reach the abandoned church. Being dead tired from the journey, they fall asleep. The next day, while Ponyboy is out, Johnny returns with a box of provisions. He has bought bread, cigarettes, a paperback copy of Gone with the Wind, and a bottle of peroxide. Ponyboy is puzzled by the last item, until Johnny suggests they get a haircut. He also tells Ponyboy to dye his hair blonde, so that it does not match the descriptions the cops will make. Subsequently, the guys cut each other's hair with a switchblade. For several days, the two hid in the chapel, waiting for news from Dallas. Ponyboy reads Gone with the Wind to Johnny, and the two spend several days playing cards and betting with cigarettes. They try to kill time with various activities, but at one point they have an emotional breakdown, fearing they will be caught by the police. One morning, Ponyboy wakes up early, and admires the valley as the sun rises. He recites a poem by Robert Frost, and Johnny is surprised. A few days later, Dallas arrives and updates the two on the situation. He informs them that the authorities are looking for the murderer, and that they have questioned him as well, but Dallas lied, and said that the two escaped to Texas. Later, he takes the two to eat, and reveals to them that Cherry is on their side, because she believes that they only defended themselves. At that point, Johnny wants to turn himself in, because it seems that they can claim self-defense. Dallas points out that he should not be so sure, reminding him that there is still the possibility of imprisonment. They then return to the church, because they cannot return to their city yet. Arriving there, they find the church on fire, and a swarm of children near a school bus. A woman screams that some children are stuck inside. Johnny and Ponyboy realize they left a cigarette inside, which started the fire. So without hesitation, they go in to rescue the children, and Dallas reluctantly follows them. They find the children in a back room, and transport them to safety, with Dallas helping them. Suddenly, the ceiling falls, leaving Johnny badly burned, and with a shattered back. Fortunately, Dallas is there, and he is fine. He carries them both to safety. The ambulance arrives and transports them to their hometown hospital. That evening, Ponyboy meets his brothers, Daryl and Soda Pop, who are overjoyed to see him again. Daryl bursts into tears, because he thought he had died. That night, the two brothers finally take Ponyboy home. The next day, it turns out that the Socks and Greasers are planning a big fight, with Cherry acting as a go-between, no knives or other weapons, only hand-to-hand combat. Ponyboy and 2-Bit go for a walk in town, and meet the rival gang. 2-Bit stresses that they must abide by the rules, and not touch them before the confrontation tonight. But their leader, Randy, asks only to talk to Ponyboy. The two walk away, and Randy acknowledges that Ponyboy and his friends were really brave to save those children. The two talk about the confrontation that will take place tonight, and Randy says that the outcome will be irrelevant. They have to solve the issue of Bob's killing, but most likely someone will be seriously injured, so they won't solve anything. Later, 2-Bit and Ponyboy visit Johnny in the hospital. The poor boy is in traction, lying on his chest, obviously paralyzed from the accident. The encounter is emotional, and Johnny feels distressed when a nurse informs him that his mother has arrived. He does not want to see her, because he believes she is not interested in him. He faints after ordering the nurse to send her away. Ponyboy and 2-Bit also pay a visit to Dallas. Guy inquires about Johnny, and they inform him that he will most likely die. Dallas desperately wants to join the big fight, and asks 2-Bit for his knife. Ponyboy also wants to participate in the fight, despite signs of fatigue. Daryl reluctantly allows him to participate, advising him and Soda to flee in case the police arrive. Arriving at the destination, Ponyboy talks with Cherry for a few moments, and then joins the others. The Socks arrive, and the main fight begins, under a heavy thunderstorm, with the groups facing each other. Both sides fight hard, but after a while, the Socks retreat, leaving the Greasers ecstatic with their victory. When the fight is over, Dallas grabs Ponyboy, and they get into a car. On the way, they are stopped by a policeman, and Dallas says that his friend has fallen off his motorcycle, and that he is taking him to the hospital. When they arrive, Dallas informs Johnny that they have won, and the Socks have been permanently driven out of their territory. Johnny says fights don't solve anything, and tells Ponyboy to stay gold. Dallas becomes enraged after Johnny's death, shoots an unloaded gun at a doctor, and mutters incoherently. Ponyboy returns home to find Daryl and the rest of the gang in grief. He informs them that Johnny is dead and that Dallas has fled in anger. Ponyboy is worried that Dallas will do something wrong, and says they must find him. Dallas stops at a convenience store and breaks a magazine. He then pulls out a gun, and robs the convenience store. He runs outside as the cashier shoots him, but misses. He calls Ponyboy's house, reveals that the police are on his heels, and asks for help. He starts to run, but soon the police catch up with him, and surround him. When he waves his empty gun at the cops, they shoot him. His friends arrive just as he dies. Ponyboy watches Dallas die, and faints. Shifting to a courtroom, Cherry testifies at the trial, and Ponyboy is found not guilty. At school, Ponyboy is dressed and combed properly, but Cherry ignores him. A teacher says he needs to raise his grades, and gives him an extension to complete his writing project. At home, Daryl and Ponyboy begin to argue, and Sodapop runs away from home. The two chase him, and eventually Sodapop asks Daryl to stop being so hard on Ponyboy. They all have to get along, because they are all they have left. They exchange hugs, and then go home. Ponyboy opens the paperback copy of Gone with the Wind, and discovers a note from Johnny. His friend wrote that he thinks Pony's recitation of a Robert Frost poem, while they watched the sunrise, was a message for both of them to preserve their youth, how saving the children was worth sacrificing his life, and to never change and stay gold. Ponyboy pulls out his composition notebook, and begins to write his story, starting from the moment he walked out of the movie theater, at the beginning of this movie. The end. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this. Turn on the notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out.